What's going on, y'all? This is me, and this is Beamer, the human type Australian mini labradoodle. Right, Beam? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, hey, look, y'all. Check it out. The past 6 months, I've taken along with me on a series of makeovers. Throughout the first level of my house. Right. I've completed the powder room, kitchen, dining room, great room, and beyond. I say beyond. I also did some work on the front yard, did the curb appeal thing, revamped the patio, right? You guys saw that. And recently, I shared a full walkthrough video so you can see how all the spaces flow together here on the first level. Here, after reading y'all's amazing comments, thoughts and questions and suggestions, one thing I realized is very important that I failed to do. And that is, I've showed you the outcome or the result of all the work that I put into a particular room or a space, but I didn't provide or share with you the how, what my reasoning was, my mindset, my approach and everything. I didn't share with you guys, what actually inspired me, inspired the look in each space, how I approached the layout, or why I chose, certain pieces over others. And honestly, that's where the magic really happens, right? Now I'm currently working on a room upstairs. As a matter of fact, let me take y'all up there, show you my current project that I'm working on, okay? Okay, I'm up here on the second level right now. This is the ensuite right here. This is the bedroom that I'm currently working on. The wall color in here is Sherwin-Williams, agreeable gray. And I'm gonna keep the, well, I'm not gonna tell you, no, I can't tell you what I'm gonna do. Stay tuned. But as you can see, I've already elevated the curtain rods. So the curtains will be a little taller. I think the way they were before, like a 98, 92, 98. I've pushed it up a little bit higher, and that's going to be the curtains will be like 102, because yeah, you want to raise your, and that's not something I've done throughout the house. I'm going to eventually. I'll be raising my curtains up as high as I can possibly get them to the as close to the crown molding as I can possibly put them. It makes the room look taller. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, I'm getting ready to do a little painting over here. I take things down. If some of you folks have a steady hand, I trust myself, but I don't have that type of manual dexterity. All right, so I want to be sure. I want to get it right the first time. So I've kind of used that green paint tape. If you're gonna tape your walls, always use the green tape, the frog tape. It removes easily without tearing away your drywall or your paint. It won't peel your paint. It won't peel your drywall. Okay. Do not use that cheap tan painter's tape. Okay, because it will damage your walls. It will not detach from the drywall without tearing a portion of your drywall off, and therefore having you have to go back and make repairs. Okay. What else? Yeah. You see, I'm all prepped up and ready to go. All prepped up and ready to go. And I'm also going to be redoing the bathroom. I've already taped up this area as well. All right. We're going to be changing the color in here. This particular color right now, it's a sea salt. All right, so I have two different colors in this space, the sea salt and the agreeable gray. I'm going to be painting the bathroom in the agreeable gray. Okay, be changing some of the hardware, the mirrors and so forth. Yep. Okay, so this is a work in progress. So look, as you can see, I got my work cut out for me upstairs. But as I take breaks, from that particular project, I thought this would be a perfect time, for me to press pause, on the new project and take you behind the scenes of the makeovers that we've already completed. So I'm going to produce a new series of videos where I'll be walking you through the why behind each design. I'm gonna break down my thought process, highlight key pieces in those spaces, right? And I'm gonna provide the links for those items, because there's a lot of items that you guys have asked me for links on and further some more details on that I have not provided. So I will be providing them in this series of videos. And you know what, man, the truth is, and sometimes I get so locked in, on new projects, that I sometimes forget that there's still so much interest and curiosity around the rooms that I've already completed. So if you'll indulge me, we're gonna go and do a little backtracking, before we continue to move forward. And today, basically, the area I want to start on, we're gonna look at the why behind the design as it relates to the entryway. So I'm gonna talk you through, what my reasoning was, my mindset, my thinking. And see, I'm gonna tell you something, man. There's certain things you have to do before you start trying to reimagine or decorate, a new room in your house. Me personally, before I decorate or change anything around in a room, I start with a clean slate. You gotta start with a clean slate, and that means removing as much of the stuff that's currently in there as you possibly can. If you can't remove everything, so you can reimagine the space with fresh eyes. Then what I do, I ask myself, what type of vibe do I want this particular space to have? Because when it comes to my entryway, I want it to feel inviting. When it comes to my living room, I want it to feel relaxing. My bedroom, I want it to feel comfortable, cozy, and sexy, right? So when you know exactly, when you move with intent, you know exactly what you want, how you want that space to feel. It becomes so much easier to choose the right colors, the right textures, the right pieces that actually support that feeling. Okay, so before you bring anything back in to your space, do those two simple things, right? Clear the space completely, then decide what type of mood or vibe you want to create for the space. That simple approach will make your design choices more intentional and much more meaningful. So what we're going to be doing in this series, we're basically going to be revisiting every space I've decorated so far, and we're going to break down the approach that I use behind each of those particular projects. And after that, I'll be sharing some simple tips that you may be able to implement to help you create that warm and functional and beautiful space in your home. Okay, so without further ado, we're gonna move right into the entryway refresh. And I'll explain my whole thought process behind that. But before we go into that, let me go ahead and plug my other channel, Dining with EA. If you haven't been over there, you got to go over there, man. I try to pump out new, fresh dishes, recipes every week. You got to go check out. That's Dining with EA. Dining with EA. Weekly, you'll get a recipe from me. And again, if you would, please give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. And if you go one step further, go and subscribe. And as we get further into the series, when the new video is uploaded, you'll be notified so you can keep track. So without further ado, take care. I love y'all. Peace. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, look, if you're just starting out decorating your first apartment, or maybe you feel like you have no idea where to even begin, this video is for you. Look, I've been there. I know how overwhelming it can feel trying to make a space look pulled together, like when you're on a budget in a small space or just figuring out your style. But here's the good news. It doesn't take a lot of money or experience to create a space that feels like you. And in this particular new series, I'm breaking it down and sharing the why behind every design decision so that you can take what works for you and skip what doesn't. Yeah, we're starting right at the front door with the entryway. And I'm actually going to show you exactly how I turned this particular space, which is a challenge, into something that feels calm, stylish, and welcoming. So let's go get it. Now, this is your entryway. This is the first thing people see when they enter your home. And so you have to get this right. So the first thing that immediately captures your attention as you enter my foyer is the dramatic height of the entryway ceiling. At 22 feet high, they're soaring for the most part. And the space really creates an open, as you can see, it creates an open and very airy feeling right away. And actually, that sense of vertical space gave me an opportunity, and it was a challenge, to design this area with a purpose. Now, 3 things to remember when you're preparing to design or redecorate a space. First and foremost, the area, you need to start with a clean slate. Remove everything so you can reimagine or imagine the potential for that particular space. Then you need to have intent and purpose. What I mean by that, with regard to my foyer, my intent was to, of course, have it look nice. I wanted to have it nice. I wanted it to be aesthetically pleasing, but I also wanted it to be functional. That's number 1. Number 2, the purpose. What was my purpose? My purpose was to make my foyer, my entryway, comfortable and so that it would have a very inviting vibe. So every decision I made with regard to my foyer was intentional and with a purpose. Now, as you enter my foyer, to the left, your eye is going to be naturally drawn up to the large blue abstract canvas artwork. I chose these 2 pieces specifically because of the vast white wall they hang on. The size of the canvas actually fills the vertical space beautifully, while the deep blue adds contrast and depth. And of course, it helps ground the space while also drawing your eye upward, making the entire foyer feel more intentional and curated. Now, here's another example of creativity, intent, and design. When I originally moved into the house, the railings matched the white oak on the staircase. It was nice, but everything kind of blended together. There was no definition. So what I did was I painted the railings in a midnight blue by Benjamin Moore, same color as your door, which is a contrasting tone to make the curves and design stand out. This one small change now draws your eye upward and highlights the beautiful architecture or angling of the staircase, and which also adds a sense of movement and elegance. Another reason for painting the stairwell was to create some visual interest, and the purpose, again, was to highlight the structure and not to hide it. Now, right beside it, the staircase, I placed a basket filled with throw blankets. Now, you might say, are they out of place? No. It may seem simple, but it's all about, again, function and warmth. It's a soft touch and an otherwise transitional area. And let me emphasize functionality, because those blankets can be used to cover yourself on a cozy day. Now, because the walls in the space are all white, I wanted to soften the look without overpowering it. So I added ivory-colored linen curtains. The texture adds, this particular texture I thought added warmth, while the color blends seamlessly into the overall palette. They're light, calm, and elegant. And it's okay to add a personal touch to your spaces. So I went with a vintage feel. I created a gallery wall using black and white framed photos of my family, my son, daughter, my dad. These images aren't just decorative. They bring peace and calm every time I enter the space. But I think the black frames add some visual structure and also contrast to the white walls, while, they elevate the space, kind of timeless. Now, let's talk about this cabinet. Now, this was a personal project. First and foremost, the space between the staircase and the front door is limited. So I went with a smaller cabinet instead of a longer one, just to maintain flow. I actually DIY'd this piece. It was originally a light green. I purchased it from my Wayfair. I repainted it black with some gold detailing to add depth, some richness, and just a subtle pop of interest. I feel like it feels a little more cohesive with the rest of the entryway. And on this DIY, I use a satin finish furniture paint, which gives it that nice shiny luster that you want, if you're going to place it in this type of setting. Now, on top of the cabinet sits what I consider to be the focal point of the entryway. Each room needs to have a focal point. And for that entryway makeover, this vase is actually the focal point for this particular space. It's black and ivory. Just take a look at it. If you look at it closely, the black and ivory tones in it tie beautifully with the curtains and the cabinet. Someone in the comment asked me, "Where's the lamp?" My response was, "What lamp? There is no lamp." Again, intent and purpose. Rather than using a table lamp, I chose to style the cabinet with a single candle holder. The goal is to avoid crowding a smaller surface area. Besides, I placed a signature scent. You need a signature scent in your entryway, something that's subtle but yet inviting. And I think the selections here, go beautifully together. Now, under both the candle holder and the signature scent bottle, you'll notice decorative books. These aren't just fillers. They add visual height and help anchor the decor items, decorative items that are on the table. The books, home decor also provide some texture and color and a sense of personality. They're subtle but powerful styling tools. Now, someone in the comments told me that the knobs next to the door is a bad idea. They don't look right. Again, let me emphasize intent and purpose. I installed the modern coat knobs for a reason. They serve a dual purpose. They're visually modern and clean, and they provide a functional place for guests to hang coats or bags, right? It's also a small touch that makes a big difference in how the space works. Now, often when I have folks over to the house, they remind me that I have a large front door. What they don't know is all I've done is apply the old trim paint trick. And what it involves is you taking your paint, the same color as your door, and you trim around the front door using a simple visual trick. The goal here was to make the door appear taller and more grand. This adds architectural interest, right? Without any major renovations, right? You haven't torn anything apart, and you haven't had to nail anything to your wall, right? So, or add anything to the door. So it's just a thoughtful detail that you might want to consider. Now, finally, you'll notice the rug. It's the actual color of the rug. It actually pulls everything together, coordinating with the ivory curtains, the black and ivory vase, and the tones in the white oak floor. I believe this particular rug, which I purchased again from Wayfair, it actually grounds the space and gives the entryway a soft landing point. So there was intent and purpose that went into the complete design. From the time you walk in the door, to the time you looked up to the left and saw the blue picture, to the time your eyes rested on the stairwell, to the time you recognized or realized that there was a basket in the corner, until you looked at your eyes moved over to the curtains, and then you, adjacent to the curtains on each side, you observed the vintage black and white prints, the cabinet, the vase, the coat knobs, the door, and also by the way, there's the Wayne coating that also adds luster and depth to the space. Yeah, so that's a breakdown of the choices I made in the refresh of the entryway, and the intentionality, right, really behind each one. But before we wrap it up, here are 5 basic entryway design tips to help you get started on your own space, right? Start with a clean slate first. Remove everything so that you can reimagine the space without distraction. Choose your vibe first. You don't want to. Do you want it to be cozy? You want it to be minimal? You want it to be inviting? That vibe will guide you through each decision that you make as far as what you bring into the space. And avoid clutter. Don't bring stuff in until you've assessed the area to determine what pieces complement each other. Take advantage of your vertical space, especially in a small or tall areas. Art or mirrors can help elongate the look and make the space feel bigger. Fortunately, I have a lot of light coming into my entryway. If you don't have a lot of light, use mirrors. The reflection of the mirror and the little light that you do have will again make the area appear larger. So yeah, this is the entryway. Everything you see here was chosen with intent and purpose. If something doesn't calm the space, if it doesn't serve a purpose or bring you joy, it probably doesn't belong there. Hey y'all, lastly, thanks for chilling with EA. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what your entryway says about you. And until next time, peace.